Hey guys, I just finished watching season 2, episode 11, and there's a lot I want to say. For starters, Jesse ain't shit, Skyler ain't shit. First of all, we're going to get into Skyler. So, Skyler, okay, no, we're going to do Jesse first because that's quicker. Jesse is a terrible fucking boyfriend. He's awful. He's literally awful. Now, I want to say, oh no, he did his part. He told Jane to get out of there so he can do his little crystal or whatever. He did his part. He told her to leave. She was the one who decided to come back. But as a partner, you're supposed to protect the person you love. So Jesse's addicted to meth, but in I would say it's not in a detrimental way. He's addicted to the point where it's like, okay, I'm feeling a little stressed, let me get some meth. Okay, like all this shit's going to shit, let me go get some meth. You know, it sounds like she is the kind of addicted where it's like debilitating for her life. Like she had to go to rehab and stuff. And so when he told her to get out of his house, that he's going to smoke crystal, she's emotionally attached to him. Of course she doesn't want to leave. Of course she's going to, I guess, go into people-pleasing mode and, you know, oh, you're doing meth? I want to stay with you. I'm going to do meth. So I want to blame Jessie fully for that, but, you know, obviously she's a grown woman. She makes her own decisions, so she does bear some of the responsibility for that. She does. But I just think it's real sad. It's a real sad thing when your partner's kind of your enabler. You went through the process of getting, you know, I think she was 8 months or 6 months sober, or 18 months. It was something kind of big. She was sober for a really long time. And then all it takes is trying to impress the guy you like. Okay, I guess I can't blame Jessie that much for that because we're all adults. We have to start taking responsibility for our own actions. He was a little rude. Okay, he did his part. He told her, hey, get out of here. I'm going to smoke crystal. You're sober. And whatever. Maybe he could have had maybe a better excuse. I mean, maybe hearing crystal is what kind of triggered her a little bit more. So maybe he could have said, hey, can you leave? I just need alone time right now. And then secretly smoke his crystal. Maybe he could have did some stuff like that. This motherfucker tried heroin for the first time with her. I don't know why they gave you a tutorial how to make that shit. But okay, Breaking Bad. We got a little tutorial on how to cook and inject heroin. Awesome. And the way the music was playing, it kind of seemed like this is a good thing. This is something that feels great. Which obviously it is something that feels great. Otherwise, so many people wouldn't be addicted to it. But it was showcased in a kind of like a try it kind of way. I don't know, guys. I would never try anything with needles and shit like that. So obviously off the table for me. But I feel like somebody who's into drugs watching that scene would be like, maybe I will try heroin. That looks lit. So little oof there. Secondly, the Gus guy. I recognize him from the Better Call Saul trailer. The Gus guy seems cool. I like him. He's kind of meek and demure. And he owns the Portillo's, the Portillo's knockoff. I like him. He's chill. He's I didn't want to work with you because you're sloppy. Your partner came high and he was late. You can tell you guys are amateurs basically. And you're going to get caught. I don't want to associate with that, which is absolutely fair on his part. So it's okay, well, I'm with Gus on this one because from the looks of it, Walt doesn't really have a handle on things. However, I like how he came out and said the quiet part out loud. He does enjoy working with Jesse because Jesse is a yes man. He does what he says. Like I said in one of my other videos, Jesse has a bad fucking mouth, but at the same time, he does everything Walt says. Remember the Beakers? When his girlfriend was sober and was like, hey, let's go to Santa Fe and let's go to the museum. And he was like, okay, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's go. And Walt was like, no, I need you to go get some beakers, go get this, go get that. We need a whole new lab and come meet me in the middle of nowhere. And guess what he did? He chose Walt over his girlfriend. So now that Jesse and his girlfriend are heroin addicts, Jesse's not going to be all that useful anymore. He's not going to be very useful at all. So I feel like Gus's words are really going to stick with Walt, especially with this situation. Walt having to literally break into Jesse's house. That's a lot. Walt's going to probably get a new team or something like that. And I can just imagine that blowing up in his face, because you really don't know who you can trust. But he has such a deep camaraderie with Jesse because they have committed crimes together, right? Like intimately. Like they broke into that factory or whatever and stole the methylamine, or I don't remember the words, guys. I'm not a scientist. They, Jesse saw all stages of the product. They went through the Emilio and Tuco thing together. So they do have this like bond, I feel, that makes them trust one another. But as Gus said, Jesse is unpredictable. He's a drug addict. He's late. He's not punctual. He is, he fucks up sometimes. He does. And Gus is basically saying like, nah, I don't want to be associated with that. And so Walt is like, you never have to fucking see him. This business is between me, you, and the product. Jesse doesn't matter. And I guess ultimately Gus was like, all right, well, we'll fucking do it. 1.2 million. If Walt doesn't stop here, which we know he isn't, then he's fucking stupid. He's delusional. He's awful. He's just dumb. And he will never, ever be satisfied, and he will never, ever stop. If you don't stop at 1 million, like, come on, bro. And I love how he constantly moves the goalposts. And Jesse called him out on that. I was so glad that Jesse called him out on that. Oh, we just need to finish selling the whatever pounds we have. Oh, we just need to, Oh, I just need $200,000 sold, like, in profits. Oh, he's continuously moving the goalposts, which means they will never be done with meth. They will never be done making it. They will never be done selling it. Walt is trying to make that his fucking legacy. He's trying to end his life on meth. And I feel like that's why he chose to do the surgery so quick. You know how fucking long it took Walt to decide to even get chemo? You mean to tell me after 15 minutes of talking to the doctor, he is ready for this surgery to remove the tumor from his lung? No, I feel like he's doing something suicidal. He wants to make sure that he dies by the end of this. And I think that's pretty cowardly. He wants to make sure that no matter what, he has some sort of complication or some sort of, something that could possibly go wrong so that he ends up dying. I feel like that is what he's really aiming for. And that's why he didn't want to think through the surgery or whatever. He's not trying to prolong his life. Don't be mistaken. He's trying to put himself in a risky situation that would ultimately end up in him losing his life, because he does not want to deal with the consequences of what he's doing. He wants to die sooner rather than later, which is why in the previous episodes he was like, when I got my diagnosis, I was like, why me? When they told me it was in remission, I was like, why me? He was prepared to die, and I feel like he still is prepared to die, and he wants to die. And I was not surprised in any way that Walt is kind of ignoring Skyler with the baby coming and everything. I was not surprised at all. Honestly, okay, it's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal because it's just 1 hour. It takes, some women are in labor for 24 hours. Some women are in labor for 19 hours. Some women are in labor for 2 hours. But he has like 40 something minutes left to get to some highway or some shit. So he can definitely drop that meth off and meet Skyler at the hospital. So the only bad thing is he won't be the one to drive her there, his wife, which is fucking really bad, especially on paper. He is choosing the meth over his wife, and this is the exact reason why Skyler feels underappreciated, undervalued, overlooked, etc. in her relationship with Walt. Now, let's get to Skyler ain't shit. So we get this very uncomfortable, like, Marilyn Monroe kind of, like, parody that she does for, I guess his name is Ted, forgot, for Ted's, her manager's birthday. She's like, happy birthday, very uncomfortable. She's very in his face. She's very sexual. And I saw her pussy get wet. I saw her pussy get wet. Like the way she was twirling her necklace, she was like, like I literally watched a woman's pussy get wet in that moment. She got so wet off of doing that for him. And I bet she felt like, oh shit, like all of this attention, you know, that she probably hasn't felt in years. She probably felt like the sexiest woman alive. And honestly, love that for her. However, we see Skyler find out that Ted has been laundering. I believe that's what it's called. I don't know really what's going on with the money. I just know that there's a lot of funds that aren't being accounted for. Is that called laundering? Probably. So he's been laundering money, and Skyler was like, this is breaking the law. I don't care who you did it for or why you did it or your reasons, but I won't take any part in it. And I was like, period. And he was like, I don't want you to go. And she left anyways. And I was like, okay, my girl stands for something. You know how upset she was with her sister for stealing? I was like, okay, she stands for something. This bitch comes back to work. So now I am very, 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 very much so waiting for her reaction and super tensely waiting for her reaction to Walt selling, cooking, distributing meth. I am really fucking like ready to see how she reacts, because if it's one thing I can't stand, it's a fucking hypocrite. It's somebody who has rules for one person, but not rules for, but you know, not a set amount of rules that apply to everyone. I hate when somebody says, for an example, if you've seen my video, I lost my best friend, you know that I had a friend who was like, oh yeah, like, woo, like when the George Floyd thing happened, fuck racism, blah, 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 like, fuck racist, all this shit, right? Like, and I even asked her, oh, if you were working for a job where, you know, your employers were racist or like had a racist policy or held racist values or whatever, what would you do? She's like, I would quit that fucking job, period. And I was like, damn, okay, nice. And I said if it was her dream job. So then she gets this boyfriend, and her boyfriend's like, oh yeah, like black people's skin looks like shit, woo. And he said this in front of me, to me actually. And I was like, girl, your man said this, 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 and this. Thoughts? Oh yeah, that's super nasty of him. I don't know why he said that to you. I'm sorry. And that was pretty much it. And she stopped being my friend over it. Isn't that amazing? So I hate people who have certain standards or morals when it comes to one thing, but those morals, as soon as it's like something that's either too convenient or, you know, you're desperate for attention or some shit, then your morals go out the door. I hate that shit. So for Skyler, if she believes that, you know, because remember, Walt and Skyler had this conversation after Marie had stolen. He was like, what if it was me? And she never answered the question, or at least it wasn't shown on camera. It wasn't shown in the show. It wasn't shown to the audience what Skyler's answer to that was. But her boss, and it seems like at this point, fucking ex-lover, she caught him laundering, pretty much. And she told him, like, all of these values she has, I'm not going to be part of it, woo, just for her to come back. So if she doesn't award Walt that same thing, and obviously I know there's different levels to it, stealing money and selling a harmful fucking product to the community are two very different things, and obviously selling drugs is the more harmful to the community. Probably. Yeah. We saw with the little kid that Jesse kind of fed a sandwich that there's lots of ripple effects to Walt selling meth. But if you do think about it, like if they didn't get it from Walt, they would have gotten it from somewhere else. Whatever. It's a slippery slope. We're not going to get into that. But I hate people who have different morals and standards for other people. for like different people. Like, to me, that means you don't stand for anything. Like, if I say I don't like people who disrespect their parents, if I say I cannot date a guy who disrespects his mom, and I meet a guy who's rich and he disrespects his parents, his mom, if I go on and then date him, I don't fucking stand for anything. I don't stand for anything. And that moral goes out of the door. Like, that's not even a moral at that point. You're just a fucking hypocrite. And you cannot hold anybody else to that fucking standard, nor can you judge anybody else, because you went back on your own fucking moral. Your word means nothing. You don't stand for anything, so you'll fall for everything. But yeah, that's just a pet peeve I have. So Skyler, in my book, Fat L, I really don't like that shit. And she better hold that same fucking energy for Walt. We'll see. Anyways, can't wait to see the next episode. I'll catch up with you guys in the next video. Bye.